Billy here found some Elvis droppings over behind Rose's diner. When we got there, we spotted him in the dumpster. Well, I flushed him out, and boom, he took off like a rabbit. And now we got him cornered over there behind that tree.
I see. And how can you be sure this is the real Elvis?
Could it really be true that Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, never died in 1977? For decades, rumors have swirled that the world was fooled and Elvis simply vanished from the public eye rather than passed away. One mysterious detail that has haunted fans for years is the presence of a spelling error on Elvis's tombstone. His middle name, Aaron, is inscribed as Aaron, a glaring mistake that many believe would never have been made if Elvis had really died. This and other eerie clues make it seem that we may have been part of one of the greatest deceptions in modern history. Could Elvis Presley still be alive? Let's explore the facts that will leave you questioning everything.
The first strange detail that fuels the Elvis Presley conspiracy theories lies in the spelling of his middle name on his tombstone. If you visited Graceland, you may have noticed something unusual. The gravestone reads Elvis Aaron Presley. However, Elvis's legal middle name was Aaron, spelled with one A, as confirmed by his birth certificate and various official documents throughout his life. Why then would his family, who were meticulous about preserving his legacy, allow such an obvious mistake to be etched on his gravestone? Some conspiracy theorists believe that this wasn't a mistake at all, but a deliberate signal to his most devoted fans that Elvis didn't die. Whether or not this is true, the tombstone discrepancy continues to be one of the most discussed aspects of Elvis's death. In 2020, a viral image began circulating on social media that reignited the discussion surrounding Elvis Presley's supposed survival. This time, the sighting came from a rather unexpected place, the U.S. Marshals Service. The image, taken during a press conference, showed a man in the audience who bore an uncanny resemblance to Elvis, with his signature slicked-back hair and a strikingly similar facial structure. Many fans and conspiracy theorists jumped to the conclusion that the king of rock and roll was indeed alive and well. The excitement surrounding the photograph quickly spread, leading to countless online discussions and debates. Supporters of the conspiracy theory argued that the U.S. Marshals Service had ties to protecting high-profile individuals. Could it be that Elvis is out there, perhaps helping maintain the very fabric of society, forever connected to the adoration of his fans? On August 16, 1977, the day Elvis Presley was pronounced dead, a strange thing happened that continues to spark conspiracy theories. Eyewitnesses reported seeing a mysterious black helicopter land at Graceland around the time of Elvis's death. This helicopter, which was not a common sight in the area, fueled speculation that it was part of an elaborate escape plan, orchestrated by the king himself. Witnesses claimed the helicopter appeared suddenly, hovered for a brief moment, and then flew away just as quickly as it had arrived. This sighting raised many questions. Who was in the helicopter? Why did it land at Graceland? Some fans believe that Elvis, anticipating the chaos his death would bring, arranged for the helicopter to whisk him away from the public eye. This theory somewhere suggests that the king's demise was staged. Elvis spotted at his own 82nd birthday. Every January, fans from around the world gather at Graceland to celebrate what would have been Elvis Presley's birthday. The event is filled with music, memories, and celebrations of his enduring legacy. However, during the 2017 celebration, something extraordinary happened that sent shockwaves through the Elvis community. A photograph emerged from the event showing a man in the crowd who bore an uncanny resemblance to Elvis himself. This mystery man, wearing sunglasses and sporting the king's iconic sideburns, stood amidst the fans, raising questions that reignited theories about Elvis's survival. Witnesses at the event claimed that the man exhibited the same distinctive swagger and charisma that characterized Elvis in his prime. Many fans were convinced that this was indeed Elvis, cleverly disguised and living among them. Skeptics argue that the resemblance could simply be coincidental, or that the man was a lookalike, but the striking similarities have left a lasting impression on those who attended the celebration. One of the most puzzling aspects of Elvis Presley's death is the autopsy. Typically, after a celebrity passes, the details of their autopsy are released fairly quickly to the public, especially someone as famous as Elvis. However, in this case, things took a bizarre turn. First off, the results of Elvis's autopsy were sealed, and not just for a few years. They were sealed for a staggering 50 years, with plans to keep them confidential until 2027. Now, ask yourself, why would the autopsy of a man who reportedly died from a heart attack be kept secret for so long? What could be so sensitive or controversial that it needed to be hidden for half a century? This unusual delay raises countless questions and feeds the fire for conspiracy theorists. Many speculate that the autopsy may reveal inconsistencies or clues that suggest Elvis didn't die on that day in 1977. The next moment that keeps the Elvis is alive conspiracy alive happened just hours after his reported death. A man who looked strikingly similar to Elvis was allegedly spotted at the Memphis International Airport. What's even more bizarre is that this man was reportedly using the alias John Burroughs, a name that Elvis himself had been known to use when traveling incognito. Imagine that, just hours after the king of rock and roll was declared dead, a man looking exactly like him, using his well-known alias, was seen purchasing a ticket to Buenos Aires, Argentina. Witnesses claim the man bore an uncanny resemblance to Elvis, from his facial features right down to the signature sideburns. The question that pops into everyone's mind is, was it just a coincidence, or was this Elvis making his grand escape? Now, one of the most talked about incidents, the Graceland poolside photo. Here's the background. Several years after Elvis's alleged death, a photo emerged, supposedly taken by a visitor at Graceland. In the image, a man with an uncanny resemblance to an older Elvis Presley can be seen lounging near the pool at Graceland. The striking part isn't just the physical similarity, but the relaxed posture of the man, as if he belonged there, as if this was home. Fans and skeptics alike have dissected this image for years. Some say it's just a lookalike, while others point out the distinct Elvis-like features. His sideburns, the shape of his face, and even the way he holds his hands. Even more interestingly, the security at Graceland didn't try to remove this person, suggesting he was either welcome or unrecognizable to others. In 2006, Priscilla Presley gave an interview that added fuel to the fire of those who believe Elvis is still alive. While she didn't explicitly say that he faked his death, her comments were seen by many as subtle hints that something wasn't quite right about Elvis's supposed passing. What made this interview so peculiar were her careful, almost cryptic words when discussing Elvis's death and the legacy he left behind. Priscilla seemed to avoid talking about the details of his death, focusing instead on how Elvis had a strong desire for privacy and was constantly overwhelmed by fame. She mentioned how difficult it was for him to cope with the intense spotlight and how he often fantasized about escaping it all. Her reflection on how he yearned for a simpler life struck many as odd. Why mention his desire to disappear, especially so many years after his death? In 2012, Lisa Marie Presley gave an interview that reignited the curiosity around her father's death. For those unfamiliar, Lisa Marie is Elvis Presley's only daughter, and her words hold immense weight in the ongoing debate about Elvis's passing. What made this interview so significant is that, for the first time, she hinted at things that didn't quite add up regarding her father's death. Though she didn't outright say that Elvis is alive, her statements were vague enough to leave room for interpretation. Lisa Marie mentioned how her father was a man who had struggled deeply with fame, expectations, and health issues. Yet there was a peculiar calm in the way she described him, almost as if she was talking about someone still present in her life. Fans immediately jumped on these ambiguities, wondering if she was trying to subtly communicate that there's more to the story than the public knows. In 1981, a recording surfaced that sent shockwaves through the world of Elvis fans and conspiracy theorists alike. This wasn't just any recording. It was one that many believe featured the unmistakable voice of Elvis Presley himself, 4 years after his supposed death. The recording, often referred to as the Elvis Tapes, features a man talking candidly about life, the pressures of fame, and how he wished he could escape the public eye. But what really caught everyone's attention was the voice. It sounded almost identical to Elvis's distinctive southern drawl. Now, let's think about it for a moment. Could this have been a clever impersonator? Absolutely. But here's where things get intriguing. The voice on the tape not only matches Elvis's tone and rhythm, but the speaker also mentions personal details about his life that only close friends or family would know. One of the most captivating pieces of evidence in the Elvis Presley conspiracy narrative comes from a phone call made by a woman named Miss Foster shortly after Elvis's reported death in 1977. This incident has sparked intense speculation and intrigue, leading many to believe that Elvis may not have actually died. Miss Foster claimed to have received a phone call from someone she believed to be Elvis himself. In this call, the man on the other end allegedly expressed that he was alive and well, but that he needed to disappear for his own safety. According to her account, he spoke in a way that only someone close to Elvis would, sharing intimate details and memories that convinced her she was indeed speaking with the king. What makes this story even more compelling is the timing. The call reportedly took place just days after the official announcement of Elvis's death, creating a window of opportunity that some conspiracy theorists argue suggests he was still alive. The theory that Elvis Presley is still alive involves a note allegedly found in his home after his death. This note, addressed to a woman named Lucy Dearborn, has baffled fans and conspiracy theorists alike. Many believe it holds significant clues about Elvis's state of mind just before he supposedly passed away. The note reportedly contained personal messages, insights, and even instructions that hinted at a life beyond his public persona. What makes this note particularly interesting is the timing and context surrounding it. Just days before his death, Elvis seemed to be preparing for something significant, and this note was said to reflect his desire for a more private life. The contents suggested that he might have been contemplating a new beginning, free from the pressures of fame and public scrutiny. Fans have speculated whether Lucy Dearborn was someone special in his life, perhaps a confidant or someone who played a role in his plans. In the months leading up to his reported death, Elvis Presley began acting in ways that many close to him found odd and concerning. Friends and family noticed that the king of rock and roll was becoming increasingly reclusive, often isolating himself from even his closest confidants. While it's true that Elvis had been struggling with health issues for years, battling prescription drug addiction, fatigue, and weight gain, his emotional and mental state seemed to shift dramatically during this time. He expressed frequent dissatisfaction with his fame and the toll it had taken on his life. What's even more interesting is that Elvis began to speak about death with a strange familiarity. He would often bring up morbid subjects during conversation, musing about the afterlife, the nature of celebrity, and how he longed for peace away from the spotlight. When we talk about the strange circumstances surrounding Elvis Presley's death, the actions of RCA Records and NBC raise serious questions. Elvis was one of RCA's biggest artists, generating millions of dollars in revenue. Not surprisingly, when he passed away, the sales of his records skyrocketed, and RCA saw a significant financial boost. But here's the strange part. Just weeks before Elvis's alleged death, RCA ordered a massive production of Elvis records. It's as if they knew something was coming that would drastically increase demand. Additionally, NBC, which had worked closely with Elvis throughout his career, also made some peculiar moves. The network quickly started working on posthumous specials and tribute shows, as if they had already prepared for his passing. Normally, such productions take time, but NBC seemed ready to roll them out almost immediately. One of the most bizarre yet persistent theories surrounding Elvis Presley is that he made a secret appearance in the 1990 holiday classic, Home Alone. Yes, you read that right. Many believe that Elvis, years after his supposed death in 1977, had a cameo in this beloved family movie. The scene in question takes place at the airport, where Kevin McAllister's mother is arguing with an airline employee. If you look closely in the background, there's a man with a thick beard, dressed in a turtleneck and sports jacket, standing silently. To some viewers, his face and expressions bear a striking resemblance to Elvis Presley. What makes this theory even more intriguing is the idea that Elvis, with his sense of humor and flair for the dramatic, would enjoy planting himself in a blockbuster film as a kind of inside joke. Fans argue that the man's distinctive eyes, nose, and overall posture match Elvis perfectly. In the 1980s, multiple reports surfaced from Kalamazoo, Michigan, where several residents claimed they saw Elvis Presley at a local Burger King. He was known to enjoy this fast food, which only fueled the fire for conspiracy theorists. Was the king of rock and roll secretly living in Michigan, enjoying a quiet life far away from his famous persona? According to eyewitnesses, the man spotted had an uncanny resemblance to Elvis. The same jet black hair, signature sideburns, and even the well-known sunglasses he often wore in public. What made these sightings especially intriguing was the fact that the individual seemed to avoid too much attention, but was spotted multiple times by different individuals. Burger King was a known favorite of Elvis's during his life, adding to the plausibility of these sightings being more than just mistaken identity. The next theory about Elvis Presley's alleged survival is the FBI and witness protection theory. This idea suggests that Elvis didn't die of heart failure, but instead went into hiding to protect himself. Here's how it plays out. According to some conspiracy theorists, Elvis was recruited by the FBI to help them investigate a criminal organization with ties to the entertainment industry. Allegedly, the king of rock and roll had unknowingly gotten involved with mobsters during his career. Once he realized this, he cooperated with the authorities, providing them with valuable inside information. However, as the theory goes, when things got dangerous, the FBI placed Elvis into a witness protection program to shield him from retribution. To ensure his safety, a plan was hatched to fake his death, allowing him to disappear without raising too much suspicion. One of the most peculiar theories that continues to intrigue Elvis fans is the wax body theory. This idea stems from observations made during Elvis's funeral, where those who viewed the open casket remarked that something seemed off about the body on display. Some attendees mentioned that the body didn't resemble the real Elvis. His face looked unnaturally smooth, his skin flawless, almost as if it was made of wax. The inconsistencies didn't stop there. Witnesses reported that the body appeared too well preserved, even for someone who had been deceased for over 24 hours. Typically, the human body shows signs of change shortly after death, but Elvis's body looked unusually pristine. This gave rise to speculation that what the public saw in the casket wasn't really Elvis at all, but a wax replica carefully crafted to maintain the illusion of his death. Could Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, have orchestrated his own rebirth? This theory delves deeper into Elvis's personal struggles and spiritual inclination. Throughout his career, Elvis was more than just a global icon. He was a man grappling with fame, immense pressure, and the constant invasion of his private life. By the 1970s, Elvis had reportedly grown tired of the relentless spotlight, yearning for a simpler, more peaceful existence. But how could a man as famous as Elvis ever escape? Many speculate that Elvis may have planned his own rebirth as a way to shed the burden of fame. His interest in spirituality, mysticism, and the idea of personal transformation was well known. Some fans believe that Elvis wanted to leave behind his public persona and start a new life in anonymity. Faking his death would have allowed him to escape the chaos and re-emerge under a different identity. There were the mysterious postcards that reportedly came from the king himself long after his supposed death. These postcards, sent to fans and close friends, were received from various locations across the globe. The most curious part? They were signed in what many believed to be Elvis's own handwriting. Some of the messages even contained personal details and inside jokes, known only to Elvis's inner circle. Could it be that these were just fan-made hoaxes, or were they genuine signs from the king, proving he was alive and in hiding? The authenticity of the handwriting is another crucial factor. Handwriting experts and fans alike have compared these notes to Elvis's known signature, and some claim the resemblance is too striking to ignore. It's hard to deny that the evidence surrounding Elvis Presley's supposed death leaves more questions than answers. Could we have been part of a grand scam all these years, believing in a story that was never true? While the truth may remain elusive, one thing is clear. The legend of Elvis Presley lives on, perhaps more alive than ever. What do you think? Is Elvis still out there, living a quiet life, or is it all just an elaborate conspiracy? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more mind-blowing stories like this one.